He had 39 points on 15 of 19 shooting. When
That
you get
shit
that
is
type, yeah.
ridiculous, bro.
Bro, he didn't. He missed. I think he had this crazy leaning buzzer beater at the
Yeah.
end of the second quarter over like three people, and I was like, I turned to my girlfriend. I was like, yeah, Kawhi Leonard's in the building for sure. Knicks fans, I apologize, but I just want you guys to know if you guys are struggling against the Pistons, you're gonna be
Y'all aren't
in for
winning
a
and
world of
shit.
hurt.
Yeah.
I had this game on for about 10 minutes and I was like, yep, the Thunder got this one, man. But it was like solid. Like it was a
Yeah.
good competition. John Morant had a pretty nice block on Chet Holmgren. Like there was a couple of nice plays for sure. I think it's gonna be an interesting series, but I think it'll be I haven't seen playoff win in a long time, almost, over a year now, right? Like
Hmm.
it's been a little minute. What? Because, we got bounced last year, Nuggets same way again. So I was still waiting for mine. Happened in game two, unfortunately, not game one. Miami is definitely, I would say they're playing with house money. They got nothing to lose, and that's when they're most dangerous. Um, I don't know what type of lineup they're gonna go out with tonight. That's why I suppose so interesting. I really don't know. He can start Haywood Highsmith for all we know. Not to say he's gonna do that, but he's just. I know he's gonna switch it up, bro. And just the way that the Heat have played hasn't been leading to winning. So I know he's gonna tell his team like, hey, look, we need to shoot more threes. Maybe play Duncan Robinson more. Hey, look, we need to run more pick and roll and get Tyler Hero more involved. You might.
I think Jalen Green's gonna have a better game, bro. I think he's gonna be more involved. I think
Yeah.
that first game, it was just his first game jitters, playoff jitters. You know what I mean? I think he's gonna kind of, figure out where he can, because it wasn't like he was getting bad shots either. He was just missing, and I feel like he's a good enough player to
Totally, totally.
where he can, keep up his confidence and he can, actually do something in this game.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boys over here at Three Man Weave. I'm your lovely co-host CD in the building with CJ, and we coming at you guys live on a Wednesday. It's April 23rd. Like I told you, bro, I was playing Swervo. I'm turned for this one. My boys in the rack, stay down for show, but we got playoff basketball to chop it up about. So I'm excited, man. I'm very thankful. It's always a blessing to come on here and talk hoops with you, man. But how you doing today? I see you in the building.
Come on, man. You already know. You see me with the
Yes, sir.
ATD on. I'm doing
Yeah,
great,
yeah.
bro. I'm doing
I
good.
appreciate the love.
Always, bro. You
Appreciate the
already
love.
know.
I
Uh,
see you.
just you're doing great, bro. Just we were chopping it up prior to just some big things that are going on for us. For our brand and just honestly for our squads too. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's great. You can't complain, bro. Feeling
Nah,
good.
not at all. For sure. I'm Lakers got the W, like you're saying, and it was much needed. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But I think we can cut straight to the chase. We're gonna go to the other team in LA that had a lovely win over the Denver Nuggets. It was 105 to 102. I'm talking about the LA Clippers. For those who may not know, I'll get right into it, man. Kawhi Leonard was absolutely nails. I was telling you this is what I was gonna start it off with. And I have to. Thinking Basketball put out a YouTube video, I think, a couple hours ago on it, but he's just, I was going to talk to you about this, man. Like, obviously, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. There's absolutely zero doubt in your mind. I just think it's really interesting. People always forget how dangerous he is, especially in a playoff scenario. And if he can go, like, if he's healthy and he can play 40 minutes, Kawhi is a top 10 player in the NBA, like, no
Yeah.
doubt about it.
Yeah.
I think he came out with just a vengeance in this game. The way that the Nuggets were playing him was super interesting. They tried to switch up their defense a bunch, going zone, doing the fake blitz. They would have Jokic kind of show fake like he was going to Zubac and then go to Kawhi to try to stop him. I think the switching, with Jamal Murray is just a no-no. I don't think
Can't
they
do
can
it.
continue to do that. Yeah, you can't do that, especially whenever you have Kawhi Leonard, who is an extremely strong forward. He's going to get to his spot. And again, James Harden showed up, right? I don't want to give all the flowers to Kawhi, but I think if you're getting another decent game out of James Harden, if you're going to get a decent playoff series out of him, I think this series is going to go seven. I was extremely impressed with the way that the Clippers were able to show resilience. I think the Nuggets punched back for sure. Michael Porter Jr., hello, right? Yeah, that's awesome to see, right? Because
Yeah.
clearly he's engaged. He kind of heard the talk, finished with a double double. I'm not exactly sure. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it was a very good game.
15, 15.
15
Solid.
and 15. That's solid in the NBA playoffs, if you ask me. So he was there contributing. Adelman had him out there, and as he should. Just a lovely game. I think Chris Dunn's defense is also amazing. Jamal Murray was a little bit under the weather. He was still getting to it, though. I remember I texted the group chat. He looked very, very spry, and he looked like he had energy. He looked, kind of tired on the defensive end, but, Jamal Murray is more of an offensive weapon anyways, but he was definitely giving them a punch that they definitely needed on the offensive end. But yeah, just Kawhi, I think, was too much. He had 39 points on 15 of 19 shooting. When
That
you get
shit
that
is
type, yeah.
ridiculous, bro.
Bro, he didn't. He missed. I think he had this crazy leaning buzzer beater at the
Yeah.
end of the second quarter over like three people, and I was like, I turned to my girlfriend. I was like, yeah, Kawhi Leonard's in the building for sure. I know you know him because we're a little bit older. You said on
Right.
another podcast we're starting to get older, so I remember him vividly. But for the
Yes.
kids who may not know, he hasn't always been out there the last couple of years, but he's a very scary dude. I think that's really why they were able to win this game. Another tightly contested game came all
Yeah.
the way down to the wire. I think Zubac continues to do damage as well inside. Had a couple nice and ones, and Norman Powell he was contributing on the offensive end as well. Just being a guy they can kick it out to, and whenever Kawhi draws that double team, I think Norman Powell is going to continue to have a decent series. So this one is super interesting, bro. It's hard, like you said, it's hard to be down whenever we're watching highly competitive games like this. The Nuggets got to clean it up. I think just with how they guard Kawhi, I think they got to stop the switching to the smaller guards. I think they should just have Peyton Watson follow him around everywhere, even if he fouls out every single game for the rest of the playoff series. I think you should just have a guy stick him on there and just basically box and one Kawhi, because you're going to have to force James Harden into scoring 40 for the Clippers to win. I don't think it should be Kawhi Leonard, but I'm excited to hear your thoughts on this game. Obviously, Jokic with damn near, I think, he had a triple double,
Double.
right? Yeah, so we know what he's going to bring to the table. We've talked about him at length on this podcast, but he continues to do things we just haven't seen done before.
Right.
Yeah, there was this one play before you get into your analysis. Nikola Jokic had caught a swing pass, and I think it was from Christian Braun. He caught a swing pass, and he like faked it. A double got brought to him, and like that, it was crazy because I was thinking in my head, I was like, he wanted to draw two. That's why he faked the
That's why he
pass.
did it.
Like he
Yeah.
could, yeah, like he could have swung it to MPJ. He was wide open in the first place, but he like faked it. The dude like jumped and then went to him, and like now he drew two, so like MPJ was even more
More
wide open.
open.
And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, bro, like this dude is just a
Genius.
freak of nature, a genius. So yeah, man, I think it'll be interesting to see what Adelman does with Westbrook and MPJ going down the stretch. I think
Yeah.
you're gonna have to decide who you want to roll out there,
hmm
but.
Yeah. Just kind of my analysis. Just what a game from Kawhi, bro.
Yeah, bro.
It was like you said. It's something that we're pretty used to for the most part. Whenever Kawhi plays basketball, I think that's just the thing, though. It's when he plays basketball, right?
Right.
Because a lot of, like you said, a lot of kids that just started watching the past 3-4 years, 5 years,
Right.
maybe even, like they probably didn't get to see Kawhi do what he did
In the flesh,
in the
right?
in that year that they won the championship in Toronto. But it was like a vintage Kawhi, bro. It's crazy. It's something, like you said, when he's on the court and playing, especially in the playoffs, he's a top 10 player in the league without a doubt, and he proved it to us last night. And it's just crazy to me that that he was kind of like a sleeping giant these past couple of seasons.
Oh
You know
man,
what I
that's
mean?
the
Like
perfect way to
I
explain it.
I feel
Yeah.
like, there's honestly, bro, I kind of forgot about it just because we hadn't seen it in a couple of years. So I understand people that have just no idea. But
Yeah, of
it's crazy. Like you said, Harden keeps shining as well. He's kind of proving us that he can. He might not be scoring 35 and getting 10 like how he used to, but
doesn't have to be.
he
Yeah.
doesn't have to right now. Yeah, when you have, especially if Kawhi's going to play like that, you need what he provided. Honestly, maybe 20 and 10, maybe that would be great.
And
You know what I mean? But
yeah,
he was close. He had 18 and 7. But I was really surprised within the game, bro. Russell Westbrook as well. The fucking Thunder buddies, bro. They just keep shining and proving to us why they're still one of they're Hall of Famers without a doubt. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, no
Like,
doubt.
I feel like it's
Still
something
contributing at a high level.
that a lot of people forgot about. They didn't
Yeah,
watch Harden in Houston. They might not have seen Russ in OKC, and then everything that leading up to this point, it's kind of been a roller coaster ride for them. So it's great seeing him being able to knock down 3 pointers. Like you said, they've been leaving him wide ass open. So it's like, what are you? He's gonna take that shot all the
You
time,
have to shoot it. Yeah,
regardless.
no,
And like
please,
you said, if
please shoot it.
I'll take that. That's a Hall of Famer, and I feel like it's good that they're kind of trusting him to do that because I feel like when he was in like L.A. or when he was even a little bit of the Clippers when he first got there, he started doing well towards the end, and I think he kind of carried it over to this Denver
Nuggets,
tenure.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But he was like pretty much forced like to not take those type of shots because he was getting crucified and shit. So
In the
it's just
media, yeah,
it's just dope being able to see them both contributing to winning basketball. And I think the main thing for me that I took away from this game that the Nuggets really need to work on is, and it was kind of it flip flopped actually. The turnovers, bro. You just can't get turnovers, especially in the playoffs, especially with a team like the Clippers that get out and they get on the break. They get a lot of points off of turnovers. You know what I mean? They cause a lot of havoc just because they've been one of the best defensive teams in this league this whole year. So I think that just kind of has translated till now. And Jokic, he had a great game, but he also had 7 turnovers. Obviously there's
yeah,
always
yeah,
there's always something you could work on, and that's gonna happen when you handle the ball a lot. But I think it's
yeah.
just how, like you said, they switch up the schemes on him, which is what you need to do with a player like Jokic. You just need to have him thinking all the time, and they'll send a double. It looked like they were sending doubles pretty much the whole game, really. So
Yeah.
that was kind of
Well,
interesting to see.
I was gonna say too. I think when he is forced to think a lot, to your point, and he can turn the ball over that much, I think it kind of speaks to their defense and their ability to get him
Right,
out of a rhythm a little bit.
right,
That's really all you can hope to do against a
right.
player like him.
Yeah, so I think that's really where a huge reason why they won this game. Denver had 20 turnovers this game, and the Clippers had 11. I want to say it was flipped. Like I want to say Denver had 11 last game, and Clippers had 20 in the game one,
He
something like
also
that.
it also kind of wears him down. Like he looks tired, bro.
Hmm.
I've brought it up a few times, but at times Jokic just looks like he's just he's had it up to here. I think sometimes he's even drawing up plays and stuff in the huddle. He just has a lot of
A
stuff to
lot,
do,
yeah.
a
Yeah,
lot
for
to
sure.
do.
But
So
no, this is
super
this is a
interesting.
great series, bro. And that that
Yeah.
was that was the Clips. That was a huge win for them. Now they got 2 games at home. What are your
Yeah,
kind
well,
of
yeah, man. I think they'll probably get one of those, but I think Denver will too.
mhm.
I think they'll probably split it again, but I think that game five will be more important than anything.
Ooh.
But I think it'll probably be the Nuggets this next game.
Mhm.
I think they know that this game three they're gonna try to come into it and just get focused. I think they're gonna have to figure out how they can hit more threes, um, shoot more too. I think Jokic got up a couple. I think he needs to shoot more. I think Zubac is a little bit like I said, he wears him down. He's basically like a bruiser. You remember that 2K badge
2K
from like
badge, yeah.
2K14? Yeah, like he's got that on Hall of Fame.
Hall
So
of Fame
he'll
without a
definitely
doubt.
wear you down. You don't always want to go into the paint and deal with that. And I think Jokic has the touch to be able to stretch his game out a little bit. So hopefully the Nuggets can get this dub because I'm kind of rooting for them on the low key. Obviously, I'm not a Clippers fan. My goodness, they're like my second most hated team in the league.
Right.
Obviously, the Celtics are the first, but yeah, I'm never gonna be a Clippers fan. But I just think, like you said, Kawhi Leonard was nails, bro. If you haven't seen the highlights, definitely go watch. But he was in attack mode from the jump. He just had that look in his eye, and yeah, they were doubling. Even there was a triple team, and he still got through it and had an and one on Jamal Murray. Aaron Gordon, Jokic, and Jamal Murray were all trying to cover him, and he still got the hoop in the arm. So when a guy's on like that, it's kind of tough to do anything.
Yep. Just keep feeding him,
But
bro.
yeah, bro, for sure. But we're gonna head out east, bro. Let's go and talk about the Pistons next series. I think this is another barn burner too. Uh, this is I was gonna say this is Cade Cunningham's introduction for those who may not know who he is. I think you saw who he was in this game for sure. Down 1-0. Bickerstaff encouraged him to shoot the ball more, and what do you know? You get 33 and 12 from Cade Cunningham. Just an all-around game from him. Yeah, eventually we're having to double him at the end of the game. I think Jalen Brunson was also super impactful in this game. He also looks like he's kind of exhausted and been through a dogfight. I think, when we get towards the end of this analysis, you'll kind of see what I mean. But earlier in this game, man, Cade's ability to create for himself and Jalen Duren, it's masterful, man. He makes the right decision every time. They had Van Gundy on the call. And obviously, I think with Mike bringing on there too, it's very tough because they're like, yeah, Cade Cunningham. He had that one behind the back behind McCall Bridges punch. Like he's just
And
a very
he
very
pointed
polished.
at like the Knicks
Yeah, he's
legends and
pointing it
shit.
like, oh yeah,
Cold dog, bro.
yeah,
Fucking
bro.
dog.
Just a very polished game from him, and I think Detroit has been looking for a win in the NBA playoffs. They have lost their last 15 postseason games up until this coming win, and very very the longest streak in NBA history, by the way. So it snapped. But very, very exciting win for them. But yeah, I think in that first quarter, once again, Malik Beasley, right? Tobias Harris just with timely buckets. And I wanted to say this too, man. Dennis Schroeder had a hell of a game. I saw him in San Antonio, and I was telling my girl kind of he's been everywhere. I think it's interesting because the trade to the Warriors, it wasn't. I think the version of him on the Nets was definitely way colder than what he is currently right now, but he is playing in the playoffs now, and I think Detroit is a lot better team for him than the Warriors are. And I think his ability to really compete down the stretch with Brunson, and he ended up hitting a big three with 53 seconds left that really did it. I was going to say Brunson looks very tired, especially at the end of the game because he's been playing 45 minutes. McCall Bridges, OG, Cat, all those dudes are out there for a long time. And I think it's just wearing down on the Knicks. I would say they lost this game due to fatigue. The Pistons looked like they were going to let go of the rope too in the fourth quarter, man. It was cut to like 4 points. And I
Yeah.
was like, man, this is this. Well, actually, I was going to bring this up to you too. JB Bickerstaff wants those guys in that exact same position. I'm sure, it looks to the fans like, oh no, are we going to blow this lead? But I know as a leader, he's like, I want to see if these guys can get through it and weather the storm. We gave up that fourth quarter lead in this first game, and we need to see if we can battle back and really hold them off. And they were able to do so. I think when you have Cade going like that and Dennis Schroeder pitching in and Beasley and again Jalen Duren, like we've been talking about the battle
Beast.
between him and Cat all series, but he was a beast last game, and I think he's one of the main reasons why they were able to get that W. And then of course Asar, right? He wasn't in at the end of the game, but I think it's just for offensive reasons, but I think his defense on Jalen Brunson is definitely very restricting. The Pistons, they got to stop fouling. They really, really do. We'll see kind of how the whistle changes whenever they go to Detroit. I think Cade was doing an extremely good job of getting to the free throw line in this game, and obviously Jalen Brunson was too. But we said it, I think the series is really going to come down to defense and free throws, and ultimately that's what it's looking like. It's going to happen because I think both these teams have similar styled offenses and defenses for that matter, and it's definitely going to be a barn burner, bro. I think the series will most likely go 6 or 7. I think I'm waiting for McCall Bridges to start to be him. I think you need to get more from him before the Knicks are really a contender for the NBA Finals. I think if they're struggling against the Detroit Pistons, who are a 6 seed, mind you, they definitely improved from last season, but I think it kind of shows that the Knicks aren't really serious, and that's
Mm.
kind of what I was gonna say. So, Knicks fans, I apologize, but I just want you guys to know if you guys are struggling against the Pistons, you're gonna be
Y'all are
in for
winning
a
and
world of
shit.
hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know hey, I'll get to my analysis on the Lakers later, so I know
Right.
I'm not in the best of waters either.
Right.
But I did
I
want to
see.
allude to that. I see exhausted legs, and it worries me that they can't just beat the Pistons consistently.
Yeah, yeah, bro. I think just kind of piggybacking off what you said, it's exactly that. I think we saw this was Cade's coming out party, like you said, for everyone that didn't know about
Yeah,
him, which is crazy if you didn't, because he's an all star this year. So, but I think he had. I'm pretty sure he had 20 and 0 assists going into the third quarter, and he ended the game with 33 and in 3. So, you know what I mean? Got to it, bro. Like you said, went to the free throw line 12 times. He's able to. I think the thing that you said they have a very similar offense than they do. I feel like the difference is obviously Brunson, great in his own right, but I think with Cade, it's just that he's just a bigger guard. So it's harder to, you can put like a player like OG on him, but he's still gonna
Hook 'em.
obviously get to it. He didn't have the greatest first game, but I think it was just his first playoff atmosphere and intensity. Mind the Game just dropped a podcast talking about playoffs. I don't know if you saw it. Great watch for everyone that didn't.
I did, and I gotta listen. So
It's solid, but it was dope being able to see Malik Cade do that, and obviously Malik Beasley doing what he does, coming off the bench, hitting some threes, and then like you said, Schroeder, bro, he's been in the
that's the
league
one in the
for
game. Yeah,
so long, bro. I think is he a Thunder and a Laker, ex Thunder, ex Laker, dude. He's been
he's been
around the
everywhere.
whole league, yeah,
Yeah,
and
he's a journeyman.
he's definitely been a solid role player as well.
He was
You know what I mean?
huge. He was huge. He had a massive three ball because
Yes.
there was a lid on the bucket for last minute and 30, and he just pulled up and hit one, and it was big. It was a big triple. So I was like, man, yeah, they got
Nice.
juice. The
Yeah.
Pistons.
But
There's no.
yeah, I mean, I think it kind of goes back to what we've been saying about the Knicks all season. They're just getting ran into the ground, bro. And obviously, I know that you want your best players out there, but I don't know. Campaign didn't get that much run this game. Obviously, it was a lot closer, and they guess they didn't think they needed him this
Hey,
game,
I'm
but
gonna be honest. Campaign not gonna get that much run unless he's hitting. Like
yeah, yeah,
that
no,
was a
no, no.
very you know
For
yeah.
sure. But like he did that in the first game though, so I would try to put him in certain situations. You know what I mean? If we need to hit a 3 or some shit. But yeah,
Thibodeau, yeah, that
it,
is
it,
interesting. Yeah, you make a good point.
it's just a little disappointed in Cat. Kind of like we said, I think the Jalen Duren matchup is kind of giving him a lot of problems. Like we said, Duren is pretty physical, very athletic.
Yep.
He could dunk on you. So I think it's obviously Cat is a great scorer, but he hasn't really. I don't think he's dropped 20 so far this playoffs. So I think he's kind
You're
of given
relying so heavily on
on
Brunson.
Brunson very. So yeah, that's kind of it's kind of what we've been seeing all year from the Knicks. So like you said, I don't think I think from their star power alone, they can be competing for the Eastern Conference, but the way it's looking, bro, honestly, like you said, it's not as sweet as they probably thought it was going to be, and honestly, our predictions are looking pretty right. It's looking like it's probably going to go 6 or 7, and with that, I think I told y'all, or I think, yeah, I told the pod, that was a must win for the Pistons.
A
Heading
must
back to
win.
Detroit, these next 2 games, getting off that, that great game they just had in the Garden. It's gonna be great.
Momentum.
So yeah, I can't wait to see what they do. But yeah, I just want to see a little bit more out of Cat. Brunson's gonna do his thing, and like you said, McCall Bridges as well. Once he gets going, it's gonna be tough for the
Yeah,
Pistons
the
to keep
Pistons.
up with them.
Hey, I got a question for you. Do you know who the clutch player of the year is?
I do.
Can you tell the podcast for the people?
2024, 2025 Clutch Player of the Year, Jalen Brunson from the New York
Jalen
Knicks.
Brunson. So yeah, whenever it gets down to crunch time, right? Within five, last three, last five, we'll see.
Yeah,
There's a reason why they're relying heavily on him. So
yeah.
I think we'll leave that game where that stands.
Hmm.
Cade's got to show out in Detroit, bro. I know he will. So shout out Detroit. Stand up, man. You guys finally got a playoff W. Nothing to be ashamed about for sure. But yeah, staying in the East, man. I think we're gonna head out to this Indiana's versus Milwaukee series. Again, once again, the Pacers are in the field house, my boy, and it gets rowdy there. Tyrese Halliburton showing out, Pascal Siakam doing his thing. I think it just speaks to the types of players that the Pacers have. We spoke about it on a couple podcasts ago, but the depth versus the star power, right? To
Mm-hmm.
have Damian Lillard come back from a deep vein thrombosis is absolutely diabolical to me. We're living in 2025 for sure, because if that would have happened to you even a decade ago, we may not see it.
Right.
So just to have him out there, I think was very highly competitive. The battle back and forth was awesome to see. Giannis continues to do damage. 34, 18, and 7. He can't really do anything more. I think Lillard was there. Dame's going to be there. I think once again, this game starts off. Milwaukee gets blitzed. I think Brook Lopez had the first like 8 points for Milwaukee. But he could score. And I was gonna even say this to you. We've kind of hated on Brook Lopez, but I actually think he's been one of the better players for them in this series, especially watching him in Game 2. He continues to hold down the paint and also give them some 3-point cushion that they definitely need. So I was gonna say they definitely need to try to play him as much as they can. I know he's an older cat, but yeah, no, going into how the Pacers were playing, just the ton of pace, obviously, no pun intended. They shot 60%, I think, in the first quarter. So the trio, I'm gonna say now, I'd say like of Pascal, Nembhard, and obviously Hallie, it's just really tough for Milwaukee to deal with, especially on the defensive end. I think KPJ just still has a ton of learning to do on that side of the ball, so he's not going to be super effective. And then we all know Damian Lillard is a traffic cone, so I think it's tough. In the fourth quarter, Milwaukee was able to kind of throw their comeback a little bit, but Andrew Nembhard and Pascal hit a couple key 3-pointers to kind of stop that comeback attempt. But I think, really the reason why the Pacers continue to win is really their depth, bro, and just the players that they can put out there and all the offensive weapons that they have. Halliburton continues to get everybody involved. I know people may have voted him the most overrated player in the NBA, but I know you saw
I
that,
saw
right?
that
You saw
shit.
that. What do you think about that shit, bro?
That is pretty crazy. Like
For
that was kind of
real,
like a
right?
consensus because
Doing him dirty.
I don't think he's like that. Like he's a great player.
He's
Like you know what I
good.
mean? Yeah. Like he was all star
Good.
last year. So but it blows my mind. But
Yeah, and once again, just Andrew Nemhard's ability to be kind of their X factor. I truly think, to me, he's their best player, quote unquote. Obviously, Halliburton is a superstar in his own right, but Nemhard's kind of a two-way superstar. He's kind of turning his offensive ability is starting to blossom. He's turning it into a really good weapon for him. But I just think Pascal Siakam so far has just been extremely dangerous to the Bucks. I don't know what he's averaging over the last 10 games against them. Maybe you can stat muse it for me, but it's got to be, 25 and 6, 7 rebounds. He continues to do damage to Milwaukee, and I think that's what I wrote down in my notes, CJ. They have to find a way to stop Pascal. Whether that be not, I wouldn't say double, but switching to zone, trying to change up, give him different looks, because he's abusing Milwaukee. So I'm not really sure what they're also going to get from Kuzma to Milwaukee. That is. Right now, they're still struggling to kind of figure out his role in the NBA playoffs and what he's going to be able to contribute. And I think that's kind of why they're struggling. He was 5-10 in this game, but I think he needs to be shooting more if he's shooting 50%. And Bobby Portis, man, that guy's got to be out there as many minutes as possible. That's the other person I had in my notes, giving you damn near 30 points off the bench, 11 of 19 shooting, 6 of 11 from deep. The Bucks definitely were close, man. This was a lot closer of a game. I think Damian Lillard makes it way more competitive. Dame only had 14 points in this one, but the seven assists. He's been a lot better of a facilitator as he's gotten older. So I think, he's going to pick up the scoring for sure. And if Dame has 25, I think they would have won this game. Usually, most times, whenever the series is 1-0, the road team wins the next game too, but Milwaukee wasn't able to close this one out. And I think it's just due to Pascal and Tyrese Halliburton and the pace that the Pacers are playing at. I mean, bro, they shot 49% from the field,
yeah.
One of two shots they were putting up was dropping. And the 60% in the first quarter, they got out to that first quarter to lead and just never really looked back. I think they had did you see Dame and Tyrese having that moment again, man, just talking shit, drawing back and forth closer towards the end of the game, I guess. once again, just getting in each other's face. And I know where that stuff stems from. It stems from the playing game. And hopefully we'll kind of see how this series shifts whenever we head back to Milwaukee, because I can assure you, Dame and Giannis are going to make sure that they come out with their best. Definitely look for 60 from kind of combined total points from them at least. So I don't really have any worries for the Bucks. I think as long as they can get Dame going, this series could also go 6 or 7 games too.
Yeah.
But they need to figure out a way to stop Pascal Siakam. I think all their questions remain on the defensive end for me.
Mm, yeah. Just to kind of pick or go what you said about Pascal, he's averaging 21 in the last 10
Yeah,
against the Bucks.
yeah,
So he's definitely been a problem
solid,
for
bro.
them. Yeah. But
Yeah, dude.
I agree with everything you said, bro. It just boils down to, like you said, star power versus depth. The Pacers just have so many
Yeah.
great players on their team that, in that offense they're able to thrive. And you
Especially
know
in this series.
dude, and
Especially.
I was about to say, and like for them, they're not really known for defense. They're still able to play good team defense, and I feel like that's what really matters in the playoffs. Because obviously Giannis is going to get his, but you're not really getting anything else from majority of the other
From
people, and I feel
anybody
like
besides
that's
Portis, dude.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, besides Bobby last game, but yeah, it's been. I'm not too worried either. It's crazy to say they're down
Yeah, dude.
0-2, but if Dame could get going, and he doesn't even need to be the Dame that we know him as, the Portland Dame. If he just gets
20.
20, that's all they need, and it's gonna be pretty competitive games. And I feel like that's where we'll see who's really the dog in this fight. I feel like
Yeah, of course.
obviously, with Tyrese talking smack to Dame, it's always interesting to see what's gonna happen between them in the series. And I feel like it might get a little chippy, bro. Especially in Milwaukee, they have that crowd behind them. It's gonna be exciting. So like you said, 60 for sure between the two, him and Giannis. I think that would be a good little
Bank on
yeah,
that.
bank on that. And yeah, just ready to see who's gonna be, not even able to, you don't need to score 15, 20, but who's gonna be the next person on the Bucks to kind of step up as well, be that third person that, if Dame's getting going, if Giannis is getting going, and
Should be Kuzma, bro. It
it
should be
should be
Kuzma.
it should be but he's been, yeah.
He's been, yeah.
Yep.
I think, like I said, he was 5 of 10. Man, like I mean, Indiana had 40 points in the first quarter, bro. I
Yeah.
cannot stress it enough. If you get blitzed in the NBA playoffs, it seems like it's a disaster from there.
Mm.
Coming up next, we'll talk about a team that likes to do a lot of blitzing, but I think they got to switch up the coverages on Giannis if they want to slow him down. Like you said, for you to feel like the Bucks are okay and for me to feel like they're okay, I think it worries me a bit because I think the Pacers are a bit overconfident. I could be completely wrong though. Whenever this series goes to Milwaukee, especially if they're able to get this game 3 on the road, bro, which I don't
Yeah,
think should happen. But if
that shouldn't.
that happens, then I don't know. I'm sure Milwaukee will win game 4. I would still bet on them to win game 4 and not get swept, but it's a lot bleaker if that were to happen. So
Yes.
I think they have to continue to play through Giannis, obviously, but make sure, like you're alluding to, they get Bobby involved, they get Brook involved, they get Kuzma involved, and they get the 20 from Dame, and I think they'll be solid. So
Mm.
this series is another one that's a barn burner, bro. Been extremely competitive. Unfortunately, they've been in the early window, I think, both times. So for people that are especially on the West Coast, but Central too, I know it's tougher for people to catch these ones.
Yeah, it was on NBA
But it's
TV
okay.
too.
Yeah, yeah. No, this one was at 6 on NBA TV. Worst slot,
Worst
but I
slot.
saw it.
Yeah, we were
But it was a
watching. We were
bad
watching.
slot. Yeah, but I think they should put this one on ESPN or TNT always.
Yeah.
Um, because the Bucks Pacers is definitely a rivalry. But
Mm.
sir, we're going out west now, man. And once again, you don't have too much to talk about, but obviously I'll let you take the floor. I think Shea had a way better game. I was gonna tell you that too, man. We didn't speak about it on the last podcast, but I was like, Shea's not gonna have 15 or whatever. He's gonna get to 30 now,
Mm.
like so like Grizzlies probably not gonna win this one, but I'll let you do what you gotta do.
Um. Yeah, bro. Like you said, I don't really got much to say, man. It's pretty
Best net
crazy.
rating in the playoffs so far.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's like a plus 30 something.
Crazy. Ridiculous. For everyone that doesn't know, obviously I'm talking about the Thunder versus Grizzlies, but it was just another game where we just blitzed them from the get go, bro. There's not
Yeah,
nothing they couldn't really score in that first quarter. I think that's kind of been, that was how the game was, game one as well, and it just kind of translated to this, game two. But the Grizzlies were looking a lot better. I won't lie to you. They kind of started going on a little run towards the end of the
for
game, and
sure.
wasn't worried, right? But it was kind of something where I'm like, okay, they're kind of getting it going. All right, feel like
They're
we're,
here. Yeah.
yeah, they're here, bro. It's I'm definitely not worried about that. It just seemed like us, we were kind of just shooting a lot of threes. I think trying to see,
Mhm.
like, kind of like, took a little page out of the Celtics offense this game and just was kind of free
I was
flowing.
gonna say they were testing shit out.
Bro, they shot 45 threes.
They were testing shit out.
We're
I was
trying
like,
to obviously beat the team that's in front of us, but I think we're kind of like trying to get into a good routine of, when we potentially are going against teams that are shooting a lot of three pointers in the league, we got to be able to keep up with that as well. And, obviously we were already up by a lot, so we're kind of able to, play with our food a little bit in a sense, and we're kind of able to test some things out. I really do
yeah,
like the fact that Shea didn't have the most efficient game, but he was still able to get 27, and I feel like he was just shooting a lot of threes. Like I said, like they were pretty much, if we're open, we're gonna take it. Pause. But like it's one of those
yeah,
things like. I don't know, man. Like I said, not really much to say. Super impressed with Chet's performance. I feel like he's stepping
yeah.
up, especially on the defense side. He got 5 blocks this game, and just what kind of going back to what I was saying about the Clippers and Nuggets, man. We only had 7 turnovers this game, which is insane, and they had 14. So obviously, we won that battle, and I feel like that's where we're gonna hold our head high in this playoffs. We're gonna try to force people to make mistakes, and we're gonna just try to be smart with the ball. And I feel like with the type of players we have, kind of going back to how the Pacers are, that we have a good mix of both, surprisingly. And I feel like it doesn't happen a lot, but we have a superstars, I would say, and then we have a really good bench. So it's kind of hard to, sounds like a recipe for success in my eyes. And it was cool because I was watching it with the boys, and I just came to a realization, bro. I was like, Zach, you remember when you asked me if we don't make the finals, would this be a fail of a season? I was like, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like, I think it kind of would be, but like it just is different for me because we have so much other assets to where we're still gonna be in the running for it, But
Yeah,
of
you'll
course,
be
like
fine. Yeah,
statistically and just kind of what we've seen with our own eyes, it would in a sense be a pretty disappointing season just because of how dominant we've been. But like I said, the
yeah,
playoffs is always different. But I kind of had that like little like realization. I was like, damn, I'm not saying it's just different, because we're still gonna be in the running for the next couple years, so we're
yeah.
gonna be good. But I don't
I
know,
was gonna
man.
say, bro. From the tip, yeah, for the audience, they scored 32 points to the Grizzlies 17. I think they immediately came out with a plan to restrict them from the get-go. And it ended up working. I think it kind of in the NBA, if you can get out to a big first quarter lead and kind of hold that, I think that's kind of what's important. The Thunder really do value kind of getting first half wins and making sure they win the first half. And obviously, whenever you have Shea as the closer, it's really there's not much to talk about. I think at times, yeah, he wasn't super efficient, right? Like what was it, 8 of 30 or what?
uh 10 of 29.
10 of 20, yeah, 10 of 30. So, it's not super crazy, but J Dub with 24, an efficient 24, Chet with an efficient 20. I think the Thunder just have too much depth for really any team to handle, but especially the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies can't play, a Cason Wallace and Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe, right? Right? Like they're very limited in their bench. I think, Marvin Bagley had 11 minutes. You got to play Conchard 10 minutes and Luke Kennard. So that, the difference in bench power is definitely an issue here. I think it's been an issue all series, and I just think the Thunder they're kind of in a world of their own right now. I think they're literally like one of the only teams in NBA history to have a net rating this high so far, like through the playoffs. They're also like, just one of the best defensive teams we've ever seen. And I think they continue to prove it on a day in and day out basis. I mean, they didn't even give up 100 points in this game. The Grizzlies shot 32% from deep, 40% from the field. I think, Morant had a better game in this one, 23 points, shot 10 of 25, obviously shooting more. Same with Desmond Bane. I think D Bane needed to shoot a little bit more too, but I think they're just lacking the offensive firepower to really keep up with the Thunder. And I had this game on for about 10 minutes, and I was like, "Yep, the Thunder got this one, man." But it was like solid. Like it was a
Yeah.
good competition. John Morant had a pretty nice block on Chet Holmgren. Like there was a couple of nice plays for sure. I think it's gonna be an interesting series, but I think it'll be a
Really?
yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't think the Thunder are gonna lose focus, bro.
it doesn't look like we are, bro. And honestly, even going away, I feel like that'll kind of prove to me like the type of team we have right now. Of course, like I know they're great, but seeing it playoff atmosphere on the road, especially with a player like Jaw and they have Triple J, and that's the thing. Like we're smacking them, bro. But they have a good they got a good squad. You know what I mean? I think it just kind of
Yeah,
goes to show how just deep we are. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's, I feel like, I'm always thinking ahead and like, oh, what is the narrative going to be? You know what I mean? Oh,
right, right.
of course they would have swept the Grizzlies. They're the best team we've ever seen in the past decade. It's like, yeah, but like that's not how it was whenever we're like in the moment, Like there's Grizzlies are still a great team and they could still I think it'll be Thunder in 5. I think we'll probably split with them in Memphis personally, and I think we'll finish them in 5. But if we sweep, that would be crazy. I'm not gonna lie to you because this is a good team. They
Think y'all
almost
could sweep, bro.
they almost had 50 wins. You know what I mean? And they were an 8 seed, so crazy to
Yeah,
think. But
they just don't have the depth, man. Like I
no, they
think
don't.
they're still trying to figure out their team and who's going to be that third option behind Jaw or Jaren Jackson or Desmond Bane, right? Like I think when you get a good game from Bane, like Jaren Jackson's like, you get a
Eh,
good game from Jaren Jackson, it's like Bane's like, eh. But I
right.
think J 27, J Dub 24, Chet 20, like that's a squad right there, and then everybody else kind of falls in line, and the Thunder keep doing that at the highest level possible. So, extremely excited for
Yeah.
sure. I'm happy for you, man. There's really not much else I can say besides hopefully your dream comes true, man. Because I got them in the NBA Finals. Like I
Yeah.
truly think they would beat the Lakers if we played a 7 game series. Like I hate to say it, but I'm realistic on the pod. Y'all know I'm realistic, so I'm
Yeah.
not gonna be like, oh man, but you never know.
Yeah. You never know, bro. But it's looking good,
Conference
man.
Finals, maybe
That would be
Lakers,
crazy.
Lakers Thunder, right?
Yeah, that'd be crazy, bro.
We'll see. But man, I guess it's my turn to talk about a W, man. I haven't I ain't seen, bro. I haven't seen playoff win in a long time. Almost, over a year now, right? Like
Hmm.
it's been a little minute. What? Because we got bounced last year. Nuggets, same way again. So I was still waiting for mine. Happened in game two, unfortunately, not game one. If you guys are fans of the pod, you probably heard me talk about it by now. Hey, but this game from the jump, bro, the defensive energy was exactly what I've been talking about on previous podcasts, how we need to up the defensive intensity. LeBron James came out playing with like a fire under his ass, bro, just playing like it was a game 7. We definitely bounced back in that manner, bro. I think that's what I noticed from the jump is just our defensive energy was a lot better. And then once again, bro, just Luka Doncic leading the way. I think he's such a basketball savant, bro. Damn near had a triple double. I think it was like 31, 12, and 9. Just continues to do everything that we traded him for, just the heliocentric kind of getting everybody involved. taking the load off LeBron James to really kind of just sit in the corner. I think Austin Reeves also had a much better game. Just in terms of his physicality, there's questions if he could deal with Jaden McDaniels and Julius Randle and all these bigger forwards. And I think he's kind of answered the bell, bro. There was a clip that I saw, and Nas Reed and Jaden McDaniels were kind of picking on him, and he was like, get off me. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, I'm not, he's like, y'all can't touch me. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
like, you tell him, bro.
Let
Like,
him
you,
know,
you know,
bro.
you might be like kind of small, bro, but like, you're a dog, bro. Like, you can do what you need to do. But first quarter, bro, I mean, hey, man, like, we kind of blitzed them. We did our thing. Like, I think that's kind of, I was gonna bring this up, but I think that's kind of what leads to you getting these W's and later in the game is like if you're able to come out with some good energy and sustain that throughout the course of the game, you're gonna get good results. And I think whenever you have Luka Doncic dancing like he was, bro, once again, just bait Rudy Gobert into a switch. At times, it looked like he was trying to just dance with Gobert, bro. Like
It
he wasn't
did.
even trying to just like do anything else. He was really just trying to get to it and like just
Yeah.
euro him. But just super exciting stuff. I think Gabe Vincent, Dorian Finney-Smith were on one as well, just contributing in every single way. I think even Jackson Hayes had some more minutes too. I think JJ has just got the guys playing at an extremely high level, and when you're able to score 34 points in the first quarter to the Timberwolves 15, I think that just speaks to the type of defensive effort that you have, and that's what I was really, really, really excited about in this game. Once again, bro, Julius Randle continues to do damage to our team. I don't know why. It seems like we can't really guard him. I think
Yeah.
our paid defense is non-existent, and unfortunately, the Timberwolves have been able to exploit that in both games, even though they did not catch fire from distance in this game like they did in game one. Obviously, we knew they were going to regress back to the mean, and I knew when that happened, we were going to be able to get this win. But anything can happen, They could have four straight games where they're just on fire from three and we get bounced. But I think the way that they guard Luca too is also going to have to change. They might have to double him, bro, and kind of force the ball out of his hands and make somebody else make a play. And I think the Timberwolves are a bit reluctant to do that because we do have LeBron James and Austin Reeves by his side to really supplement that. Um, I think the Timberwolves are they get stuck, man, trying to do too many defensive things. Like they try to switch too much, and at times I think Luca catches them in no man's land and like is able to find kind of the dunker side spot or somebody to spray it out into the corner. And so I think that's really again why we were able to win this game is just it's not like we're winning by scoring 140 points. I think again like the Timberwolves defense is held in this game, bro. Like it's held so far in this series. Um, I spoke kind of down on them and I was saying like, oh, their defensive net rating is very misleading, but I think they've been able to kind of clean me up on that one, to be honest with you. And that's props to them, but we were able to get this W and outscore them. I think we shot what was it like 46% from two, but the 3 pointers have to be better. That's the other thing that I had in my notes is going 8 of 30 usually isn't really going to win you that many games, but we were able to get to the line, and I think that was something that I think LeBron only had two free throws in game one, and that just can't happen. You got to be able to get to the line in the NBA and make sure that you're contributing in that regard. And then Ant was a little bit less efficient from deep. I think that also helps as well. If he would have hit five threes, I think this game is completely flipped. Unfortunately, in the fourth quarter, both teams went cold, bro.
Mm.
Um, I think we only scored like 20 points, so the Timberwolves scored like 14.
Y'all scored 13. They scored
14.
20.
20, yeah. So yeah, we had like 13 points in that fourth quarter, bro. And I don't know what happened. I was like kind of getting sleepy, and I was like, man, I think Luca and LeBron went like 1 of 6 in that quarter. Just like I don't know what it was. We just had a bad fourth quarter and kind of had a mental lapse. And that's another thing I had in my notes too, bro. Is like at times we have these mental lapses as a unit, and I sent a message to you about this today, right? It was
Mm-hmm.
why JJ called that timeout even though we were up like 10 or 12 points or whatever. It was because he had called a play in the timeout and guys were lined up wrong, and it's like
Mm.
those mental lapses I don't see happen on the Thunder or the Celtics and things like that. And so if we want to be a finals team, that's really what's going to have to change. I think moving on. Because yeah, I think we're gonna get past the Timberwolves, but the next team that we play is gonna be a lot more disciplined, especially like on the defensive end, but more importantly, like the way in their ability to be able to process the game. You know, as you get deeper and deeper into the playoffs, like all the staffs, all the players, like the competitiveness just increases. So we have to be mindful of that, how locked in we are, bro. At times it looks like we're disengaged on the defensive end, and then sometimes we just got guys lining up in the wrong spot and shit like that. So that's another thing, to keep an eye out. I think, like, once again, Mike Conley was a ghost in this game, and I think that had something to do with it as well. He's kind of the sneaky offensive engines to the Timberwolves that kind of makes them go. He gets everybody involved, and then as long as we can keep Rudy Gobert kind of as a zero, just 6 rebounds, 6 points, like making sure he's not getting 12 points, 15 rebounds, and really abusing us on the offensive glass. I think we'll be okay when we go to Minnesota. We'll have to see the defensive coverages that they put out on Luka Doncic and how that changes the game. I think over the course of the game, it definitely I can tell for sure he gets worn down because I think he played. Let's see how many minutes he played, guys. I think he played 42 minutes in this game, so another 40-minute game from him. Shot 9 of 20 from the field, so decently efficient. But the 2 of 8 from deep, we just got to clean up. We got to clean up our 3-point shooting. I think our defense on Ant has been extremely good in both games. I think we forced him to kind of be a creator and then just a driver, right? As long as he's not hitting threes and scoring 45 points or whatever, I think we'll be okay. We really just got to clean up the paint defense. We got to make sure we're more engaged on the defensive end, and then out of timeouts, making sure that we're paying attention to little things like that. Because if we want to be an NBA Finals team, that's really what has to change. Our defensive intensity and then being locked in, bro. I think I saw a lot better though. Like, Vando played a lot of minutes, good key minutes that were like he had a couple defensive plays that were important. I know he's only out there like 12 minutes, but I think Dorian Finney-Smith again is like a major X factor in this series because if he's able to give us 40 minutes and be solid like he was last game, I think this series could be like 5 games, bro. I think we can. I don't want to overhype the Lakers, but if we can figure out how to consistently have that defensive intensity that we had last game, there's really not a lot of teams that can beat us, bro. For
Mm-hmm.
sure. Even when we had a bad shooting night,
Yeah.
I think we'll improve on that too. I think Luka won't go 2 of 8 from three. I think even Austin Reeves, 0 of 6, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Think
very
about
true.
that, like he missed every single three that he shot, but that's not gonna happen every time. So I think
Mm-mm.
whenever we can increase those percentages, bro, and we continue to guard like how we were guarding, and not let Jaden McDaniels and Julius Randle kill us, we'll be okay. We'll
Yeah.
be all right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm excited to catch this W, bro, for sure. It's definitely nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to say, bro, just kind of, my little thoughts on the game. It was super impressed with y'all's intensity. I think that was the main thing you brought up, and it seemed like they were listening. You know what I mean? They're like, okay, we hear you,
Yeah.
Z. We gotta step
Hmm.
up, and it's crazy, bro. Like I haven't seen y'all. That was probably the best defense. I think this was the least amount of points y'all have held an opponent all year. So
Hmm.
that is a great little trivia for the year. But yeah, no, it was dope to see. Luca still being Luca, bro. I feel like that is what we expect from him, and that's why the Mavs were so hurt that they lost him. But it's kind of crazy how the tides have turned, and now he's with y'all, and he's still doing it. And I feel
Yeah.
like you said, the thing that we've been talking about a lot with these playoff series is if you start off that first quarter great, it usually translates to a win. You know what I mean? As long as you keep it up, you don't even have to score as much, but you lock in on your defense and you're able to hold the opponent to taking tough shots, then that's all you could really ask for, and
Yeah.
that's
Weather
exactly
the
what y'all did.
run.
Yeah, that's exactly what y'all did, and I was very impressed with AR, bro. You know what I mean? Like I think we talked about him
Dang.
last game and kind of if the physicality was gonna affect him, and it kind of did the first game, but this game he was looking good, bro. Like just kind of being able to create and stuff. He was getting like Jaden McDaniels on switches, Julius Randle's on switches, and he was kind of being able to create his own shot, and that was great to see. I mean, he's been doing it all year, so.
Yeah, bro. For
Um,
sure. For
but
sure.
yeah, no, it's been a, like you said, I didn't, or I wasn't expecting them to shoot as well as they did from three, like they did on the first game, and that's really what it boiled down to. If y'all can lock in on that 3-point defense, just have them be don't take wide open shots. You know what I mean? Especially, we kind of saw it the first game. Nas Reed, doing what he did and kind of having a quiet game. This one is kind of that y'all locked into that, and that's really where y'all are gonna win this game because Ant's gonna do what he does, but Julius Randle has been pretty good. That's kind of another thing that I
Hey,
said
that
whenever.
worries me a lot, bro, because
Yeah.
I'm like, man, like we've got to stop
Stop.
Julius
Yeah.
Randle.
Anybody but him,
We've
man.
got to stop
Yeah.
anybody but him and Ant for
And
sure. Like I just worry that we're drawing so much attention to Ant that
mhm.
like I'm telling you, like Julius Randle will get 40 if you let him in a playoff game for
Mhm.
sure. We know he's not a playoff riser, but he's been killing us, bro.
Yeah,
So
he's been looking good. So that was another thing that I noticed, and that was something I said too. I think he hit a big three, and I was like, man, Julius Randles is kind of good. You know what I mean? Like obviously we know that, but like playoffs, you know what I mean? It's like wow,
yeah,
he's having a
it
good
matters.
series
Yeah.
so far. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I think
better
I
than Ant,
yeah.
like you said, better than Ant.
Better than that, yeah. So it's gonna be a good one, man. Like you said, it's I think if y'all keep playing like this, y'all could definitely at least split with them in
It might
Minnesota.
go 6 though, bro. It
Yeah,
might go 6.
I think that was my
It's
prediction. I
just
think I said
annoying.
yeah,
It's annoying because I want to get out of here, man. But it scares me because the Timberwolves are a good 3-point shooting night away from just the doors being blown off, and the Lakers do not have the defensive like weapons
hmm
to handle all of Nas Reed, Jade McDaniels, and Randall, DiVincenzo. Like if all those guys are knocking down triples, whew.
yeah. So yeah, no, man, it's
But I'm
it's
glad
it's
it didn't
good though.
happen.
Yeah, yeah. That's all you can ask for, man.
Exactly. But we got a couple key playoff games tonight, bro. Would you like to chop it up about those?
Yeah, let's get to it.
Okay. Um, I think the game that's going on right now, obviously, I don't love talking about them, but it's like Celtics Magic, right?
hmm
Like their game
Yes.
too.
hmm
How you feel about this upcoming game? I mean, honestly, bro, I just think that the Magic need to be able to figure out a way to be able to score consistently. I think I was looking at the Celtics spread even. I was like, yeah, the Magic just can't score on the road. Even Paolo and Franz having 25, 30 apiece, I still think that's going to be over 75% of their points. Like if they had 60, 30 each, I think they're only going to score 95, like
Right. Right.
35 points between the rest of their team.
hmm
So I think they're going to have to figure out some ways of how people can supplement the scoring that aren't named Franz Wagner or Paolo Banchero. And then the Celtics, bro, they really just got to get Tatum and Brown going.
Yeah.
After they do that, this could be a sweep.
Yeah. 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 I was about to say the same thing, bro. It's kind of um I feel like with the depth that they have, Tatum and Brown haven't been needing to do
Mm-hmm.
what they usually do. But when that starts, yeah, I think this series is gonna be a gentleman's sweep at bare minimum. You know what I mean? I think
You think they'll lose one on the road?
they might be able to steal one on the road. It won't be pretty, but I think they could. You know what I mean? I think the juice in
Oh.
Orlando, but I don't think it's gonna be enough though. Like you said, it's just really their offense. Where else are they gonna get that from? Cole Anthony hasn't really been. He didn't show up last game, and we'll see if he shows up today. But I feel like that is kind of who they're really relying on coming off the bench to get to it, and it's kind of hard when you have the defenders on the Celtics. So yeah, it's like you said, not really too much analysis just because they're a far better team than the Magic, but Magic have a
Yeah.
great squad. They have a great duo in the making, and I think it's something they're just parts of their game getting better. I feel like once that happens, it'll be pretty interesting, but also they need to add kind of that third option that they're going to be able to rely on.
Yeah, and once again, I just think they're up. If Anthony Black and Cole Anthony have a crazy game, then yeah, give me the Magic. But I can't bank on that happening. And like you're saying, the Celtics' depth is overpowering. I would say it's probably the second best in the league behind the Thunder. So really they're at the mercy of what the Celtics want to do. They're going to play the Celtic style of basketball. I think the Magic also have to just shoot more threes and hopefully they drop. Right, you got to try to compete with them, man, and that's why the Thunder were doing that test run. But just shoot 55 threes, shoot 60 threes. You never know what might happen. You got to go Mike D'Antoni. Personally, to me, this is like the least interesting game of the night. That's why we're kind of going through it quickly. But hey, Cavs Heat, bro, I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm not a Celtics fan. I'm not gonna get turned for them. I'm sure they'll win this game though. But Heat Cavs, bro, super excited for this matchup. Clearly, Davion Mitchell has been, like you said, the X factor for the Heat. I think Donovan Mitchell. It's funny, the D Mitchells, right, going at each other. But
Right.
I think Donovan Mitchell is definitely become the playoff riser that we've known to grow and love. I just think him and DG will probably continue to look to have a strong performance, and I think Evan Mobley's going to have it going too, bro, and Jared Allen. I think for me, the question is mainly with the Heat and where all their scoring is going to come from. We'll have to see what Eric Spoelstra does with the tactics as well. He's kind of had a you could say a basketball renaissance of sorts. That's the word that I'm looking for. Just in his ability to be able to coach and use the players that are at his disposal to put the best product out on the floor. That's why he's never going to lose his job. So tonight, what they have to do is shoot as many threes as possible. Let Tyler Hero and Bam get involved and be aggressive, and then give Davion Mitchell the ball as much as possible. Had 20 potential assists in game one, which is pretty crazy. This dude is playing out of his mind right now. If you can get any contribution from him, I think you got to play him as much as possible. So we know Ty Jerome is going to be looking to score the ball efficiently. I think the Heat have some things to clean up defensively, but the Cavs should not have any problems with the Heat. And the fact that they are scares me a bit because I do have them going to the finals in my prediction. But hopefully, Donovan Mitchell, you can expect a 30-point night from him. I think he's going to be extremely aggressive on the offensive end. And then I'm excited to see what the Cavs do defensively to guard Tyler Hero. Are they going to force the ball out of his hands? They probably will be reluctant to do so unless he's scoring 40 points. But to me, they should look to change that up a little bit. I feel like Tyler Hero catches fire. You're one or two bad games away from being looking at a 6-game series. So I think Miami is definitely. I would say they're playing with house money. They got nothing to lose, and that's when they're most dangerous. Um, I don't know what type of lineup they're going to go out with tonight. That's why I suppose so interesting. I really don't know. He can start Haywood Highsmith for all we know. Not to say he's going to do that, but I know he's going to switch it up, bro. And just the way that the Heat have played hasn't been leading to winning. So I know he's going to tell his team, like, hey, look, we need to shoot more threes. Maybe play Duncan Robinson more. Hey, look, we need to run more pick and roll and get Tyler Hero more involved. You might see him touch the ball every single time down the court. So I'm super excited to see this chess match between Kenny and Coach Spo, and then obviously all the key players, Darius Garland, Mobley, Jared Allen, but DeAndre Hunter, right? Ty Jerome, even Isaac Okoro coming off the bench. The Cavs have extreme depth, but so do the Heat. And I think that's kind of why this 1-8 matchup is so interesting to me because I just feel like it brings more of that rivalry atmosphere that we're looking for as opposed to the Magic Celtics.
Yeah, no, yeah, you said it perfect, bro. I think it's the Heat. Like I said, we'll never count them out at this point, and the way that they played last game, it was looking good. Like Tyler Harrow's doing his thing, Bam being very aggressive. I think that's something that he needs to keep up. But yeah, going back to what you were saying about the threes, I think that's gonna be where they're gonna have to just at least put those shots up. I feel like that's where the Cavs will start. Yeah, the Cavs will have to. They're obviously going to shoot threes as well, and they make them at a pretty high clip. So that's why Ty Jerome had such a huge game last game, and everyone off their bench could pretty much shoot and defend. So it's something where the Heat are going to have to be able to keep up with that. And I don't know. It's Davion Mitchell. I think that's going to be a huge contributor
There you
to their
go.
offense, bro. I think that's he's kind of been a huge X factor for them in the first game, and
Restricted free agent, by the way. They might have to pay him.
they're gonna have to, bro. Honestly, after this.
Crazy.
But yeah, no, just kind of way he's been able to provide on the offensive side and defensive side of the ball is great to see, and I think that's Obviously, Spida and DG are gonna do their thing, but I feel like when he's out there, he kind of, doesn't, fully stop them, but
You
he's
can
able.
combat
He
that. You
he's
can
a
combat that.
Exactly. So I think that's, definitely have him on the court more, put the ball in his hands, and then kind of have Tyler Harrow, like you said, just probably put him in more actions. I think that's really gonna be their answer to
Sounds
the
good
question.
too.
Yeah, because it seems like when he's going, the whole team is able to feed off that energy, and rightfully so. He's their all star, and they also have Bam,
Gotta
and
get to the line too, bro.
yeah, yeah, they've been kind of lacking that in this series so far.
The issue with this Heat, dude, is fourth quarter scoring. They give up. I think they've blown the most leads in the fourth quarter this year, and they're the worst
Mm.
fourth quarter scoring team. And just the free throws. But I think they're hitting their threes tonight. I think you should look for Wiggins to have a pretty big game. Obviously, we'll get into our betting segment a little bit later. I think, Hero. Look at Hero's points, dude. I think he's gonna touch the ball every time down the court tonight. So I love that analysis. I think Bam's got to keep it going. They got to match the three balls for sure. Like you said, Spida and DG are going to get theirs, but obviously Davion Mitchell's defense can combat that. And I think we're just looking at a barn burner, dude. Like I said, this one's more interesting than the Magic Celtics series because I think these teams are just more evenly matched when we're just looking at it on paper. But yeah, I think the Cavs they should be able to handle the Heat in 5 or 6 games. I don't know, I think the Heat could steal this one though. So I would stay away from the Cavs money line because I'm looking at an upset. I think Spo in this is like 11-10 straight up on in game twos as the underdog.
Mm.
So it's pretty
That's
pretty
interesting.
interesting
Yeah,
stat there.
very.
More than 500. I heard that. Shout out to Action Network. If you guys want to sponsor us, we will greatly appreciate that. But please throw me a pro subscription, bro. I will do anything for it.
Facts.
Yeah, shout out Action. But hey man, we're going back. I think we stayed in the East long enough. Got to go to this Warriors Rockets series, man. Game two preview. What you think, man? What you got?
I think Jalen Green's gonna have a better game, bro. I think he's gonna be more involved. I think
Yeah,
that first game, it was just his first game jitters, playoff jitters. You know what I mean? I think he's gonna kind of, figure out where he can, because it wasn't like he was getting bad shots either. He was just missing, and I feel like he's a good enough player to
totally, totally.
where he can, keep up his confidence, and he can, actually do something in this game. But just kind of going off the preview in my head, I think Sengun is definitely gonna be probably keyed in on this
There
game.
you go.
I think they're
There
gonna
you
try
go.
to figure out how to stop him. Warriors. I think he's a good enough player, especially I don't think the Warriors have enough big man depth to kind of keep up with him. I think he's gonna have a pretty good series for the most part, but when you have Curry and the chef and the butler, bro, on the other side, it's kind of hard to keep up with that. And I think the like we were saying in the first game recap, Rockets, they played their brand of basketball. They kind of slowed it down a little bit. Obviously Curry and Butler were just hitting their shots, but I said it in the recap, like I was saying, they lost this game. The Warriors didn't really
Mhm.
win that last game. The Rockets lost this past game. So I think they're gonna be juiced up tonight. Another game in Houston. It's gonna be a huge deciding factor. This is a must win in my eyes as well for them. I think they have to get this win heading to Chase Center. You don't want to be down 0-2 there because it like you said, that yellow sea, it gets a little scary out
Yeah,
there, man.
it gets scary, man. You,
Um,
you see them bananas.
Banana. And
Ew.
yeah, and especially just the way that Curry could get the crowd into it. I feel like you definitely want to get this win and go to the Bay and with the momentum, and I think they can, bro.
Yeah,
I think
you
uh,
need it.
I think they're gonna definitely cause them a lot of problems on the offensive rebound side of the ball with Adams and Sengun and all the big men that they have, but they're gonna have to hit their shots, man. That's really what it boils down to, and I think Like I was saying, I'm expecting a really good game from Jalen Green, and hopefully, Fran Van Vliet. He doesn't need to drop 20, but hopefully he's able to hit some big shots and kind of get the momentum shifted into the Rockets side. And I think it's gonna be a good game. I think it's probably gonna be like a slower pace game again. I think it's what it's gonna come down to. I think if you enjoy like the 98 to 95 type games, it's gonna be another one of that. Yeah, but yeah, no, I'm expecting the Rockets to get out with this dub. I think they're just gonna be a little bit too much for the Warriors on the glass, and they're gonna actually convert on their opportunities. So it's kind of my preview of it, sir.
Love that. Yeah, I think you spoke about the offensive rebounding. We'll see if the Warriors put in Kuminga too. I think Steve Kerr has a couple jokers up his sleeve. Definitely giving Moses Moody and Podziemski more run is beneficent for him. Fred Van Fleet and Jalen Green have to step up in this game. If they go ghost again, the Rockets will not be winning. Like you said, Şengün is going to be their main guy. He's going to continue to be a bruiser in the paint. I think Draymond Green can slow him down, but I don't think he has the skill and the finesse really to be able to stick with him. So I think he'll continue to, probably score 20, get 10 rebounds, and be efficient down low. And that's really all the Rockets are going to need from him. But I think they have the defensive strength to be able to contain the Warriors. It's really just Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler that they just have to figure out how to deal with. Is that going to be through the offensive, I guess, punch for punch that they're going to try to figure out how they can manage, or are they just going to try to lock them down and not let them score at all? I don't know. To me, it's going to be a lot easier to go punch for punch in terms of scoring instead of trying to just hope that Curry doesn't get 30. Because again, Jimmy Butler and Curry know what time it is. You don't think they're going to want to steal game two away from you guys?
Mm-hmm.
You know, think about that. So, like, I think the Warriors are kind of again playing with house money a little bit right now. They don't really have any pressure on them. I think all the pressure's on the Rockets once again. I think Ime wants it this way. I'm looking also for Jabari Smith Jr. to have a huge game. This is a time where I think he can get to it right now. They need his ability to shoot from three, also guard on the perimeter and be an effective lockdown, defender, but also give him some much needed scoring. I think this game, you know, they're going to have to figure out a way to increase the possessions. I like the 90s era basketball, but the way that they shoot and the percentages that they're shooting, they have to shoot more. Their percentages don't allow for them to only have 80 possessions in a basketball game. You have to shoot a high percentage to do that. The Rockets don't. So they need to increase their speed, which most likely means the Warriors are also going to increase their speed. So it'll be interesting to see how game two changes. I don't know if this is an under game. I was actually going to disagree. I was going to say that I think Ime is going to try to pick up the pace and move faster because we need to get up more attempts. We're not hitting at a high enough clip to only shoot 60, 70 times. And so to me, I think that's going to be looking, if you're looking for a little preview on my side, that's what I would say is the most important key point is like speeding up the pace, shooting more threes, and trying to obviously have Jalen Green get going. I mean, hopefully he hits his shots, but if he's not hitting his shots, it's got to be Jabari Smith Jr. or Fred Van Fleet. Somebody else has to help Alperen Şengün to be able to combat Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler scoring. I think the way that they guard them is obviously straight up. The Rockets don't really believe in doubling players. I think they play extremely physical too. The minutes with Steven Adams was extremely interesting. They won those minutes, so you might see him out there a lot more too. But we'll see how Kerr. This is another good coaching matchup, good roster matchup, like solid playoff matchup right here. Ime versus Kerr. Just look for a couple Joker cards to be played, man. You might even see Reed Shepard get out there.
Mm.
Shit.
Yeah,
I'm capping, but maybe. If
maybe.
Ime feels that way, if he's not getting enough from Jalen Green or Jabari Smith, he'll yank somebody for sure and be like, yo, I need you to start scoring. You might see a Cam Whitmore in there. Just you never know who he might need. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of see where this series goes. I think you made a good point of saying like the Rockets are in a must-win situation, bro. Like they really cannot afford to lose this game and head to Chase Center down 0-2. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Yeah, yeah, 100%,
Yeah,
bro. Must
for
win.
sure.
We
But
got to.
yeah. It's a must win, bro. It's a must win if I've ever heard of one. I think the Lakers were in that position too. We needed to get that win before we went to Target, right? But
Hmm.
I think right now it's just the with if you're down 0-1, it's you can't afford to lose again, especially for the Rockets who are going on the road and they don't play. I don't know if they play better at home or on the road. Maybe you can look it up.
Yeah, I got you.
But I think they may have played better on the road maybe this season, so I don't want to say that because I
They
think they did play better
were uh
on the road.
they were better at home, but it wasn't by much. It was by like 6 games.
Okay,
So they're
for sure.
29-12 home and 23-17 away, which is still really
Pretty
good.
solid.
Yeah, really good.
It's really good. No,
Yeah.
they were a great regular season team. That's what kind of sucks is like they're just going up against a veteran team, veteran squad who knows what they're doing. Kerr has done all the lineup mixing in the world, played Quentin Post instead of Kuminga and all this other stuff that it's just really tough with the Rockets for them to be able to deal with all of that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're in the fun part of our podcast, my man. Are you ready to get into this playoff trivia that I have for you, part two?
Yeah. Let's get into it, bro.
Let's get into it. All right. So these are much tougher in my opinion.
Mhm.
I feel like you are not going 5 for 5 on this one. So let's see if I stump you. All right.
Okay.
First question that I got for you, CJ. Which player has the most career playoff triple doubles in NBA history?
Oh, damn, that's a good one. Oh. Um I'm gonna be pissed if it's like the obvious one, but I feel like it's not. Is it Luca?
No, but
It's
he's
not.
he's close. You can get three guesses.
I get three guesses. Okay.
Yeah, because these are kind of hard.
LeBron?
No, close though. He's very
Close.
close.
Oh man. I don't know if I might get this one, bro. I feel like it's.
You're gonna be mad when I tell you too if you don't get it.
Is it Westbrook?
No, it's
Fuck.
Magic Johnson.
Mm. Damn.
Magic. I think Jokic is either third. I think LeBron's second.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I assumed. That's why I was like, yeah.
But Magic was cold in the playoffs for sure.
Oh yeah.
All right, yeah, Magic Johnson. There you guys go. All right, but number two, moving on pretty quick. All right, this one's tough too. So let's see. Which coach has the most playoff wins in NBA history?
Mm. Is it
Three guesses too.
is it Popovich?
No, sir. Think like they got hella rings. They have more rings than Popovich.
Okay.
I think those types of
Oh,
coaches.
dude. I feel like I know what team he's on, but I don't know the name,
Oh
bro.
yeah, you know, like he's like a legend. That's why I like this one because this one's tough, but you'll get it. I know you will.
I can't think of his name, bro. It's like on the tip of my tongue. Pause. Fuck.
Start guessing.
I can't even. I can't even think of his fucking name, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. God damn it.
All right, let's see. He used to play in the NBA, and he was good. He
Oh,
played.
Phil Jackson.
There you go.
I
I didn't
was.
know you would know that though, so that's good for you. I thought that would be like you'd be like okay,
I
but
thought. I thought he
yeah,
was
he
gonna be
played
like
in
a
the
Celtics coach. I couldn't think of.
no, yeah, no, no, no. Phil, yeah, 229, I think when I saw.
Oh
So
wow.
so many, and
Who?
that one like it's like obviously it's
Right.
like yeah.
Yeah. What? Who? Who is the Celtics coach, bro? Like when they were winning all those chips.
Uh, uh, uh,
That's who I couldn't think of his name.
was it Red?
Red. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Red
Arbok.
Auerbach.
Arbok. Yeah.
Arbach.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
That's who I
Yeah,
was thinking of. But yeah, duh, I should have thought of
but
Philly.
he's close too. Popovich is too. I think those guys are all top five. You
Mm.
name like you might even be able to get the top five, maybe, but that'll be for another day. But that was yeah, you got it. I did not know that you knew that he played in the NBA because
I knew
that
that.
one's that's yeah.
Shout out to
I'm not
2K.
shocked that you know that. Yeah, I'm not shocked that you know that, but I'm kind of shocked because not a lot of people would
Knew
guess
that he.
that.
Yeah, yeah. And then
Yeah,
you
for
said
sure.
Knicks too. I was like, oh yeah, for sure.
And guess what? He won a finals there.
With the
The last
Knicks.
NBA, yeah, the last championship they won, he was on that team.
Mm.
Pretty cool bit of trivia. Um, but this one is tough, bro. And if you get this one, you're also just a gangster because I think that last one was hard too.
Right.
But what is the lowest seeded team to win the NBA Finals trophy? Obviously,
Oh,
NBA championship. What seed was it, and then which team?
damn. Okay.
This is so hard. Yeah,
That's
this is so
hard.
hard. Yeah,
I'm thinking of teams that have made the finals. I know.
yeah.
I,
So
I know.
do you
I
know
know.
the lowest seed to make the finals?
It was an
Yeah,
8 seed, right?
right.
It was the Knicks.
Technically, even lower than that now. Do you know who's done that more recently
Oh yeah,
against
the Heat.
who? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. From the play-in.
Right from the plan. Yeah. Um. Damn, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I was leaving part two. Like I was like in part one, I was like, I kind of want to make it, and
Right, right,
then
right. Because also even Luca when they won or last year they were the 6th seed.
they too also they did not win, but they too are right there. They're one of the lower seeds to go in
Yeah.
finals
Damn,
history.
that's what I'm trying to think. I really don't. I'm gonna be pissed, bro.
You're gonna be so mad.
I'm gonna just start saying shit.
I will say no, but I will say you have three. I'll say it's like recently, like you're thinking of. It didn't happen in the 70s or anything crazy.
Okay.
So
All right.
it's
All right.
recent team. Shot clock era, like
Uh,
very,
okay. Got you.
within the last 30 years.
Okay. Oh, damn. You stumped me with this one, bro. This is a good ass question.
That's a good one,
Because
right?
I'm trying to think, obviously, of like who's won, and
Right.
then I'm
Who's
trying
gone
who's
too?
gone. Was it? No. Was it the? So if I say a team, would you be able to tell me if it's right or not?
Yeah, I'll be able to say yeah, because the
Okay.
team is one, and then the seed is the
Is
other
it different?
part.
Okay. It wasn't the Mavericks, was it?
No,
Okay. Okay.
maybe you might be able to guess the seed first.
The seed first. Okay. Um. Was it a fourth seed?
Mm-mm. Close though.
It was a fifth seed.
Six seed. So it was a six seed.
Fuck.
Six seed. But do you know the six seed who won the NBA championship? That's the tough question.
Nah, I don't. Was it? Oh no, no, no. Was it the Rockets? Yeah. Okay, it was. I thought
Holy crap. I'm actually shocked you got that. Like, no, I didn't give you a hint for the team at all.
no, but like
So I'm,
I was thinking about it because I was like, okay, you said 30 years shot clock
yeah,
era. I mean, obviously Jordan ran the 90s,
recently, yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
it was like the Lakers, and then I was like,
hmm
all right, who else won? Hakeem won back to back, but I didn't know he was a sixth
hmm
seed. Was that
Yeah,
the first one or the second one? Right.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
But what's cool too, though, like you're saying, like recently the Heat, obviously the play-in didn't exist in the 90s,
Right.
but they are the only team to make it from the play-in, like from complete darkness. Like
Right.
they were playing elimination games the first time they played.
They
So
yeah to
I
even
think
get
it's
into the
cool.
playoffs.
Yeah, it's
That would have
cool
been
though. That one is really hard, really
wow.
hard.
I didn't know they were a sixth seed, bro.
They were a six seed, bro. Isn't that
That
crazy?
is crazy. Because if obviously you think like All right, majority of the teams that have one are probably a 1 or a 2 seed. That's why I was
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
like
like
maybe
three,
maybe
four, maybe.
yeah, I was like, oh, maybe that Mavs team was a little bit lower or
Yeah,
whatever, you know what I mean? Like were they a 3 seed?
I think they were 4.
4. Okay, yeah, that's what it was. 'Cause I was like, oh, okay. But damn, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, the Mavericks is like the one that sticks out in my head as being like they're kind of an underdog,
Right.
and Dirk had like a crazy
Crazy.
finals that it's still legendary to this day. But that's another conversation for another day. You did get it right, man. The Houston Rockets. So shout out to you, my
Let's
boy.
go.
Yeah, for sure. This one is tough too, though. But which NBA player holds the NBA record for the most blocks in a playoff game?
Wow. Just the
And
player?
it's tied. So there's 3 players who've tied at this number. So if you get all 3, it's like a 5 star. If you get one of them, cool.
Cool. Okay. Um, could I get hints or nah?
Yeah, so yes, these guys are all shot clock era. 2 of them are from the 90s, one of them from the 2000s.
Okay. Those are good hints.
Yeah, because there's so many players. Like I don't know
Right.
if you're gonna get
Yeah, I know. There was so many good
that.
big bang back then. Um, did Dikembe? Is he up there?
No, but he
No.
was close. He had 9.
Okay. Damn. So these just had 10.
Yes, they had 10. That's the number. So that is the number. It's not 11 or
Wow.
12. It's 10.
10 blocks, bruh.
Yep.
And these are
In
shot
a playoff
blockers,
game.
obviously.
Yeah, they're like, you would be like, yeah,
Of course.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You'd be like, that makes sense.
Is that Hakeem up there?
Yes, sir. He's one of them. So you've got the question right. So if you would have, because it's like free answer. If you
Right,
would
right,
have put
right.
Hakeem Olajuwon, that's correct. Can
Okay.
you guess the other 2 players?
I can try. Um,
Okay,
is Timmy up there?
he's up there, but he's
He's
not the
not
record
that.
holder.
Okay.
He does not have 10.
Okay.
I think he
Okay.
has 7. Was his
Yeah.
career high in the
Psh,
playoffs,
crazy, bro.
which is still a lot.
That's a shit ton of blocks,
Think
bro.
about Wemby could do it.
Wemby.
Wemby could get 12
Oh,
easily in
100%.
a playoff game. Yeah, easily.
Okay. So I got one of the ones in 90s. There's another one and there's one in 2000.
Yeah, one of them played. I'll give you another hint on one of them. One of them played for the Lakers.
Oh.
And the player, like, you'd be like, that makes so much sense. Like, because he was so good at this time. But
It's it's not Shaq, right? Okay, yeah, yeah, that's what I
Dak is, again, close. I think it is 7 or 8
fucking crazy, bro.
in a playoff game. I think 7, too.
Played
So
for
he's
the Lakers.
close.
Did he get the record with the Lakers? Or
Yeah.
he did. Okay.
Super cool player that you'd be like, oh, yeah.
Fuck, bro.
Did not go to college.
Andrew Bynum?
Andrew Bynum.
Andrew Bynum? Wow.
I think that gave it away, but
Yeah, that for sure did. I was gonna say him, but I didn't expect that.
Andrew Bynum.
Wow. So he was the one in
Andrew Bynum.
2000. He was the one in 2000.
Yeah, yeah. And I know you remember he was so good
Yeah, he was
at
really good.
18 or 19. He was so good and just so like I think his effort just deteriorated after a couple of years. I think Kobe kind of
Yeah.
like really, kind of took the love of the game away from him a bit, but he used to play like so. I remember watching with my dad, and he was somebody who just did everything. Like I know you remember at
Yeah,
the time, Andrew
he was
Bynum
cold.
was awesome. Yep. And then the last player.
I'm gonna try to get it,
This
bro.
player, this player was a mountain. So if you can think of some of the biggest players ever, you got it.
Oh, fuck. I
He was so tall.
can't think of his name. Is he a white dude?
He's white.
Oh fuck yeah, bro. I can't think of his name. You're just gonna have to tell me. I can't think of
Mark
it.
Eaton.
Mark Eaton.
Mark Eaton.
Yes, yes, yes.
He had 10 blocks
That's
for
who I
the
was
Jazz.
thinking. Wow.
Yeah.
10
Those are the
block.
three players, and I think Wemby could definitely do that easily one day. So
Hmm.
I think it'll get that record will be broken. I think in our lifetime.
Hmm.
I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Wow, that was good. I
Yeah,
like that. That was good.
yeah, that one's hard, but you got Hakeem, which I'm shocked. Like I thought you were gonna go like Dwight Howard. I
Hmm.
think his is 7 or 8 too, which is a lot, but not 10.
Not 10. Yeah.
Um, that's quadruple double territory if you're able to get the assists and the rebounds and the points, obviously. Um, this next question, man, I think is just extremely peculiar and weird, but I like it. Who is the youngest player in the NBA playoffs this year
Oh,
in
wow.
2025? Do you know this question? It is playoff trivia indeed.
It vary. Um, fuck. That's a good ass question.
Got three guesses. You got to think of the young cats.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm trying to think. Is it Ron Holland?
Man, I don't know how you got that. Yes, sir. At 19 years old, it's Ron Holland the second. So
Yes, sir.
that's yeah. There you go. He's one of the youngest players ever in playoff history.
Really? Okay, I didn't know that. I knew, cause I'm thinking of like, I was kind of my thought
I
process,
didn't
right?
first
Who?
guess, dude. When I saw Ron's name, I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if you when you yeah, I'm like, yeah, he is the youngest player right now in the playoffs. Yeah. Like Bronny's on there too. I think he's like the third youngest, but
Right.
Ron's 19, so
Yeah. Yeah, cause
that's
he just got drafted too.
super
That's
cool.
why I was thinking of like, oh, what
I
teams
cannot believe
just
you got that. That's awesome. Yeah.
heck yeah.
That one's cool, bro. I like that one because I was like, I don't know if CJ will get this, but of course you got it.
That was a good one,
Playoff
bro.
trivia.
Hey,
Yeah,
playoff
bro.
trivia.
I had five of them, bro. That wraps it us for us. Obviously, if you guys have any questions that you may have as trivia, definitely leave it in the comment section. Gotta plug that, right?
Right.
But CJ, man, I think I had my record. We're moving on to the betting segment. I had my record wrong. I think I'm actually 1-1 because we took Trey's points and assists in that playoff game, and I
We
think
sure
he
did.
cashed, but the Sabonis missed against the Mavericks. So
Right.
I think we 1-1. I'm gonna try to keep track of like the play of the day for both of us. That way, it's like people can actually see and get a better understanding. But obviously, got to do the betting segment because it's Wednesday. I know we've kind of had a longer podcast, but just ton to chop it up about. Got through the recaps and stuff like that. So we're moving on to the betting segment. CJ, I want to hear your thoughts on what you got for the plays today for the community.
I actually did a little six man, but I'll give y'all two. So the two
Okay.
that I'm the two that I'm
And whoa,
yeah,
math ain't on our side there, buddy.
it is not. I'm waiting for one of those, bro. I know I'm gonna hit one, bro, in this playoffs, but haven't yet. So, but y'all will know. But my one that I'm really, I like this play.
Going for it,
Pay,
yeah, going for it.
Peyton Pritchard over 12 points. I like that one, bro. Coming off of a six-man award that he just won. I think he's going to be juiced. I think it's going to be, obviously we know the type of offense that the Celtics run, just kind of airing it out. I think he's feeling himself, bro, after winning that trophy. So, that's always a good feeling, and I think he's going to,
That's too low.
right,
That
that's
has to
what,
be at like 14.
14,
I think
15,
14
right.
and a half. Yeah,
Right. That's what I
15.
was thinking too. That's what I saw. I was like,
That's
I'm
too
gonna
low.
take that one. And then my next one, this one was a little cheeky one. I talked about him earlier in the pod. I got Davion Mitchell over 1.5 3-pointers made. I saw
I
that
love
line.
that.
Saw that line. I think that's a good one. He's been knocking them
I
down
might have to
whenever he's
fail you.
open. Yeah, I like that one, bro. So those are my two ones that I'm super confident in right now. But what
All right,
what
cool.
what,
I
what are
mean,
some of your plays, bro?
yeah, for sure. I think, we can definitely go through the rest of your six, man. I got a lot of plays for today, but I'll start off with the play of the day. Honestly, just get straight into it, not waste you guys' time. I'm going to go with the Heat Cavs over 213.5 at minus 110 or something like that. I think this game it has all the makings to be an offensive showdown. I think if the Heat are down by 30, I think they're going to be jacking threes. And if the Heat are competing, it means they're scoring buckets. So I think the Cavs are going to get theirs. I think they'll be able to contribute, the 113, the 115 that we need, but it's really just up to the Heat and what they're able to do on offense. And I think they're in a situation where it's a must-win game. So give me some points in that game. I like the over 213.5. I feel like that total should be a little bit higher at 216. But the other plays that I had, these aren't going to count towards the record, but just some other ones. CJ, you can name the other four cats too. But
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I think Donovan Mitchell over 25.5 points, again, too low. Averages a career 28, I think, in the playoffs. So I think it's just a couple points too low. I think the lines makers are still getting adjusted to how the series is going to look like. I think Donnie Mitchell's going to come out super aggressive, especially in the pick and roll and especially from shooting threes. Um, so just give me that boy to get us a little 30 piece again, a little 30-piece nugget. Why not? All you need is, I think, is 27, 26. So I think that's within range. And then I got another dude in this game, different player though on a different team. I'm going with Tyler Hero over 23.5 points too, bro. I think that's a solid look as well. I think the ball's going to be in his hands pretty much all game. The Cavs Heat game is what I'm lit for, bro. If y'all
Yeah.
can't tell, I'm turned for this game. Super excited to watch it. I just think it's going to be a battle. So I got those two superstars, obviously, over points. And that was really all I had. I was gonna take the Celtics on the spread because I don't think the Magic can score at all. So that minus 10.5, I think, was looking pretty juicy to me. The Magic just can't score on the road, and their offense gets stuck in mud. So if you want to take that, you can. I ended up not taking it because I am a major Celtics hater, so I really don't want them to win. But yeah, y'all take the Heat Cavs over 213 minus 110.
Got you. Yeah, and I'll tell you all the rest of my little four man that I got. So obviously y'all heard my Peyton Pritchard and Davion Mitchell. I also have Paolo over 26 points. I think he's gonna be really the only one doing
It's gonna
anything.
be,
Him and
yeah.
Franz, I think they're gonna be able to do what they can, but it's not gonna be enough firing power for them to win the game. But I like that play. Also another one, little cheeky one as well. I did Ty Jerome over 17 and a half points.
I like
I
that.
think he's gonna be blazing from three. I think
I like
he coming off that first playoff performance. I think he's gonna be feeling himself a little bit. I think he's gonna get it going. You know what I mean? And then next one, the chef and the butler, man. I got over 25 and a half points for Curry, and I got over 23 points for Jimmy. I think that one for Jimmy's a little
that.
low. I think
I agree.
I think he's probably gonna drop 25 at least. Get to the free throw
Eight
line.
points, 9 points from the line. I was
Right,
gonna
yeah,
say from the line. Yeah.
exactly. And then 25 and a half for Curry. I think he's gonna do his thing. He might not be cooking all game, but I think he'll probably drop a light 32, bro. Just from what I've been seeing from him, that he's able to. It felt like in that first game they were trying to eliminate the three for him. He wasn't hitting
Bring
it
him
that well,
down.
but once he was able to get to the rim and once he starts doing that, everything the basket looks like the ocean
Ocean.
essentially. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's I like those plays. So hopefully we could cash on that one. That would be huge.
Yeah, bro.
You know what I
I'm one
mean?
on one so far. Y'all are 0-0 units. So
Yeah.
you just bet. Only bet what you can afford to lose, and make sure you guys stay safe and gamble responsibly. CJ, do you have anything else for the lovely audience?
I do not, sir. Thunder up. That's all I gotta say.
Jeez, man. Yeah, LA, man. LA in the building. Well, you guys know how we do it over here at Three Man. If you guys like the video, obviously leave a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next time. All right. Peace. Three
Peace.
Man, Three Man.
Three man.